Hey, friends, thank you so much for joining us. We are UPD, Jonny, Hanson, Andy Lamb. We like to open the show with a proverb. Today's proverb is Proverb 24:10.
It says, if you falter in a time of trouble, how small is your strength? Again, if you falter in a time of trouble, how small is your strength? There's this word falter, which simply means to start to lose strength or momentum. So anyone can be strong when times are good, and we talk about that a lot on here, but it's when stuff hits the fan that you really start to figure out, is my faith really grounded? And we're really tested in these moments here. This goes back to the idea that somehow choosing Jesus means that I'm going to have an easy life, as if Jesus was a lottery ticket. I was having a conversation with a guy about this. I brought up this conversation of that Jesus is a lottery ticket. And he goes, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, well, people, especially, we'll just talk about American church today. There's this idea that if I pick Jesus, then that must mean that I'm going to have comfort in my life, that, you know, things will go well for me and I'll have success and I'll have blessing in my life. And listen, there is an aspect to that I don't want to say that Jesus doesn't work in that way. But the problem is that if you go into this with the idea that, hey, if I just pick Jesus, that I don't have to worry about getting sick, or I don't have to worry about somebody dying, or that my business is going to do well, then you come to Jesus with the wrong tone. Solomon is an example that I give with this. He's wealthiest man of this time, arguably the wealthiest man that has ever lived. And even at the end of his life, he still went through some trials and hardships, and he equated that money does not equal an easy life, as we've said on here. He just says it's all meaningless. And so we see this idea of God being our strength throughout the Old and the New Testament. I'm going to pull a couple of scriptures in here. So Isaiah 41:10 says, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Now, anytime you read a verse like this, it's important to understand context, because the context of what was going on here, this message actually was for Israel. They had sinned and they had gone into captivity, but this was God's promise to the Israelites in the midst of them being in captivity, that he was still going to be with his people. We can take that promise and we can still apply that to us today, that God will still be with us. That is the one promise, is that he will walk through us. If you go to the New Testament, Philippians 4:13, this is a bumper sticker verse, but it says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Now, again, context is very important for this, because this verse is actually centered around contentment. If you read the verses that come before that, the question is, are you content in all your circumstances, whether they are good or they're bad? And then during both, God is the one who's going to give you the strength to do this. The word strength is actually mentioned over 360 times throughout the Bible, and every single time it's referred to as a God-given thing. And I think that's the part that we struggle with today, is that it's very easy to look at strengths that we have, and because of pride of life, it's easy to go, I did that, I built that, I worked for that. Is there an aspect of you having to put in effort? Of course there is. But we can also look at the God-given talents and tools that he given you specifically so that you can use them for his glory and for his will. And so, you know, some of you, as I think about my own life, you know, living by my own strength, I've seen the destructive path that I left along the way, and it left me empty. Now, some people that are listening to this maybe have never gone down the road that we have of addiction. Maybe some of our listeners out there have just had a steady head and made good choices throughout their life. And I think the danger on that side of it is that you can take a step back and go, what do I need God? Because I've figured this thing out, because I can provide the life that I want to live that's easy and comfortable. And I did that all because of me. I was reading this pastor in Liberia, and I'm going to title this The Mass Delusion of the American Church. He said that fixation on money is an American problem, not an African one. After they survived a civil war and they had mass casualties from the Ebola virus, he said, we are keenly familiar with hardship and sorrow, but Jesus has led us through every trial, and we will remain steadfast and faithful. He and other global pastors have actually, we see this a lot, they see American evangelicals as compromising their faith to conform to cultural trends. We'll call that living the easy life, or political trends that prioritize earthly power.
See a lot of that now.
We see a ton of that now. That's why we did our video on the topic of politics on here. So I think it's very important as followers of Christ is that we were talking before we hit record today, biblical literacy is extremely important. We need to be able to look through the Bible from the beginning to end throughout time and what has happened to Christians over time and how they have had to have strength during times of trials.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to read it again. Proverbs 24:10. If you falter in a time of trouble, how small is your strength? And the one sentence that came to mind was, man, you still have some growing to do. You still have some growing to do. And boy, if that isn't what hits me all the time, just in my personal walk with God. It's like when I really think I got something, something comes up every single time. And it always reminds me that I've still got some growing to do. And the funny thing is, I always talk about my good buddy Jack, my mentor. And I remember he fell off a ladder when he was like 78 years old. He was working on something in his garage. He fell off and he broke his hip. Obviously, that's very, very bad for a guy of that age. And I seen him at a church meeting we were doing. And I was like, what are you doing getting up there? I live right down the road from you. If you're going to get something, just call me. I'll come by. Wait 2 minutes and I'll be there and whatever. And he's like, Jonny, there's something about me that you clearly still don't understand. He goes, I don't see myself as a 78-year-old man. He goes, it's only when I look in the mirror that I realize I'm 78. He goes, in my mind, I'm still a 12-year-old kid out playing on the field. So it's like, even I think throughout this whole life, the minute I think I got it, it's the minute I better check myself, because I think I'm still going to have some growing to do. Mm-hmm. And I think it's those hardest moments, and sometimes it is the most successful moments, to your credit there, where hopefully we're checking in with God. And we do that by giving him glory. We give him glory when things are hard, and we give him glory when things are good. And that is the checkpoint of your own ego, is to say, I didn't get here alone. God, you get the credit. You've put the people around me that helped me. You put the circumstances in front of me, and it's only with you that it becomes more and more obvious all the time that is the rhythm of the universe, is that God is ahead and alongside and behind everything.
That's good.
And once we start identifying that, we can start taking joy when the next trial comes up. James says, consider it pure joy when you experience troubles of all kinds.
Yeah.
It strengthens your perseverance, which is what you're talking about. It's like sticking with being biblically dedicated even when it's hard.
Yeah.
And when it's good.
Yeah.
That's the way you're going to get by.
It is. And I think bringing up James, this goes back to biblical literacy and cultural context. When James is writing these verses to consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, it's what was he up against, right? He's the first bishop of the church in Jerusalem.
Right.
So not only is he dealing with Jewish people coming after them and families disowning people, but you're also dealing with Rome coming after them as well. And so for them, when they read these words of consider it pure joy when you face trials, the trials that they were facing were
death.
Yeah, very well. Death, being banished from your family,
from your entire community, your tribe.
Mm-hmm. So there was some real hardship that they really faced there, and so sometimes I think in our American easy believism of things, is we read a verse like that, and you're like, man, I went through a hard time today. My tire went flat. Thank God I can consider that joy, and it's like maybe. But I don't think the trials.
I think you can start there.
Sure, you can. I mean,
my faith started small, man.
Yeah.
It was, to quote our buddy and the Bible, my faith was sometimes smaller than a mustard seed.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to
Alec. And that's where you can start. You can start with small things. That's fine. Give God glory in all things, I say. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning to do that more and more. And that's the growth process of this thing. You still got some growing to do. You should start with the small things. God, thank you for the breath in my lungs. It doesn't have to be there. Mm-hmm. There's a million dumb things I did in this life that could have taken me out. Mm-hmm. Tried to take myself out at one point in time, for crying out loud. But through God's grace, I'm still here. I'm still breathing, you know, some guys say on the right side of the grass. And it's starting there sometimes, is just thanking God for the small things. And then when you get to the big things, you already consciously have put that piece into your brain, and that can be your default mechanism. Then when the big things come along too, is you go, all right, God, all those little things you got me through. I guess you're going to carry me through this too. And you can have questions. Mm-hmm. But I think that's important. So guys, Proverbs 24:10. If you falter in time of trouble, how small is your strength? How small is your strength, or how big are you relying on God? How much are you fortifying yourself in the Word? Like Andy said, we encourage you daily, get in the Word of God, read it. If you're new to the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, those are called the Gospels. Those are going to teach you who is Jesus, And it's going to help fortify you as you then go back towards the Old Testament to try to understand some of that deeper stuff. It's going to give you, it's a foreshadowing, is what the Old Testament is to who Christ is. Mm-hmm. So, and you'll find fortification there. Andy read a bunch of passages from the Bible. And those, once you start to understand who God is and you start to accept his rule on the throne, those are going to give you the hope in your heart as you go through the difficult things.
That's it.
And life is going to give you difficult things. So what are you struggling with? Let us know. Comment, like, subscribe, please. Check us out. Check out our website, updpodcast.com. We got merch there. We got all kinds of stuff. But we want to engage with you. We want this to be a community. We've got great people out there that are engaging with us and are commenting and are emailing us, and we're responding back, and we're starting to develop some great conversations. Be a part of that. Thanks for joining us. We'll chat with you soon.